ecosystem being ready for the technology adoption. I strongly believe that each technology leader would have their own journey, right? If there is no set path, there is no defined role or no success mantra here for anyone.
What are the challenges faced by technology leaders today, when we talk about implementing these digital technologies?
So I would talk about three challenges that the leaders today are facing, and then maybe also talk about how these solutions are going to be helpful, right? I'll also talk about solution as such. This is the time where ethical use is the most important element that I feel from a technology perspective.
Hello and welcome to CIO News. I am Khushbu Soni, your host for the broadcast and founder of CIO News. This is my exclusive interview series with Voice of CIOs. And on my today's episode, I have Phani Raj, who is the Chief Information Officer at Inspira Enterprise. The company has more than 2 decades of experience in the IT services industry. He has worked with various Fortune 500 companies across the globe to solve their business problems using information technology, and has also helped organizations successfully navigate their digital transformation journey and explored many technology en route, right? He's also been one of the digital transformation expert, has worked in, understanding the market challenges and also creating, solutions around those. So it is great to have you today, Fanny. Thank you so much for taking out time, and I'm really excited to understand your journey. How did you get along on this journey? And I'm sure it will be a great insight for our viewers as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Khushbu. It's an honor to be part of CA1 News. I'm equally excited. Thank you so much for that elaborate intro. Yeah, I look back at the career, it sounds pretty exciting.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. It's more about understanding your journey as a technology leader. So I wanted to know, how did you plan your career, your career path to be a successful technology leader?
That's a pretty interesting question, Khushbu. See, for someone to plan a 2 decade long career, right, especially in the technology field, I don't
Yeah.
think it's feasible, right? Some of the technologies that I started working with are obsolete now. A lot of new technologies are emerging on almost every day. That's what we hear, isn't it?
Yeah.
So for anyone to have planned it, say create a roadmap and say I'll follow this path, was is not feasible. So I'd be lying if I told you that I had planned everything, right? I had a roadmap and I followed it. Because there have been some extremely massive shifts in the technology space, be it cloud, mobile. We talk about generative AI a lot now. So these shifts have kind of changed the way entire technology landscape is operating, right? So to be frank, I wasn't ready for some of these changes from a technology perspective. But what these massive shifts have done is kind of remodel everything the way we look at, isn't it? But what if you look at a granular level, at a conceptual level, some of these technologies operate at a pretty basic level. That hasn't changed, right? The way technology talks to the underlying hardware, the way technology improves the business aspects. Some of these have not changed. As long as you understand those aspects and then be open to embrace new technologies. I think the biggest advantage or the success factor that helped me is to embrace technology as a new way, right? Experiment a lot, stay extremely curious, do a lot of experiments, fail early, fail fast. Don't hesitate failing. Some of these aspects, staying curious and expecting on some of these technology shifts has helped me stay ahead in the curve. That's what I think is the crux of how it has gone or how we have planned my career as such.
Excellent, excellent. Like you said, it's an ever evolving subject and the domain, right? I mean, today, from the time we started using internet to the time when we are today, I think it's a great journey in terms of
So,
evolutions and innovations that's coming in. And of course, there are challenges, like you mentioned, to stay up to date to what's happening in the industry. What were some of the challenges that you faced in your career path, and how did you kind of overcome them?
See, the interesting point you made about internet. See, I still remember 2001 when internet was scarce. That's when I started making. See, there are a lot of challenges that obviously in its area spanning 20 years, there would be bound to be challenges. I already spoke about one key challenge of how technology changes fast. But another extremely critical challenge that I have faced, I had to overcome, is what I call as the ecosystem being ready for the technology adoption.
Right.
Right? You might have the best of technology, you might have the greatest of innovation, but is the ecosystem ready? I'll give examples in terms of three key factors influence this adoption or the ecosystem aspect. One is the timing. Is your technology at the right time in the market? I'll give an example of we were working on the solution around monetizing video content over the net.
Right.
Today's world of Netflix and Prime Video, that's not a big deal. But I'm talking about 2007 era where the cloud was not picked up yet. The bandwidth isn't great as such from a mobility perspective. So while we were doing a lot of good work in the lab, but we want to take it to the market, it wasn't great because the ecosystem wasn't ready. But the fact is, we were already ready with some of the POCs. We did certain experiments. We were ahead of the curve when things turned really good. But at that time, the timing wasn't perfect. Okay. The second challenge that I faced would be, I would call it as relevance. Right. So is your technology relevant to the market? Are there business users who are ready to absorb that? So another example in my personal experience, say we were doing a lot of enterprise mobile apps in 2010 kind of a time frame. Well, the mobile started growing up a little bit. There were consumer apps that were being developed, but enterprise was still not there yet. So our vision was there will be a time when all enterprise apps would move on to device. People could work from anywhere in the world, right? That kind of a vision that we had. But when we went to the end users or the business market and they said a lot of my people are percent are they're outside in the not in the office, remote working is not as popular then. So it was not needed as such at that point in time. So the solution is good, thought process is good. It did not have a relevance in that time frame. Again, when things came in, we were ready, bounce on it to take the advantage of the technology we built. But relevance is extremely critical. So third and absolutely most important, pretty obvious challenge that we all face is the cost aspect, right? I may have the best in technology and solve entire problems of the world. But if it takes someone to go to Mars, if that's the cost it takes, obviously no one is going to improve that. Right? So ROI is extremely critical. So these are three top challenges I would say is the timing right technology perspective? Do you have the right relevant technology for the time that you exist in? And is the cost pretty reasonable way? Is there good ROI that you can see in a couple of years time frame? So
Right.
these are the three challenges that I could think of from a career perspective.
Sure, sure. And what are the challenges faced by technology leaders today? When we talk about implementing these digital technologies.
I spoke about my challenges or some of the challenges I faced 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Today's is a little different while some of the challenges still exist. I'm bombarded with technologies. Every other day you have new technology, new thought process coming in. So how do you ensure that you're picking up the right technology, you're investing in the right technology? So I would talk about three challenges that the leaders today are facing, and then maybe also talk about how the solutions are going to be helpful, right? I'll also talk about solution as such.
Right.
See, the first one is business benefit. Right? No technology is useful unless it is delivering a specific benefit. Typically, comparing a technology to a business benefit is a little challenging or complicated matter as such. But what I do is I use what I call as FCN framework. Right? Is the technology faster than what you have? Are you going to do things cheaper than earlier what you've done? Are you going to give an entirely new experience to the customers? See, as long as you're able to answer at least one answer to these three questions, you're in a very good place in terms of the technology, giving the business benefit. If you can do more than one, awesome. But at least one is something, if you can get a clear answer to that, all you need to do next is define the KPIs, the metrics of how you track across this one of these three framework questions. Then you have a very good hit on how technology is going to help the business. Okay. The second element I would call is how do you execute the technology, right? So the fast pace of change in technology, you have everything new. So do you have skill set within your organization? Do you have to acquire new skills, right? You need to baseline your technology landscape in your organization, then try to build on top of it. You start with the POC. I would never recommend a big bang approach. Right? It has to be a small, agile. You implement in a small area, small department, small geography, and then take it to the entire organization as such if you really want to do it. So execution of it, it's a typical execution is there. It's a typical boring but extremely essential stuff that you do. Important. The third element is the change management. And typically, I see that the biggest risk, biggest challenge is this. Because as technologists, we're pretty excited the moment we see new technology, right? We want to just get it in the market or get into the organization, but ensure that the end users are aligned right at the design phase, right at the discussion phase. How do you communicate it back to the users? How do you make their life easy? How do you make them adapt to this technology? So these are the areas that one has to invest in, put that lot of effort and time to be able to answer these queries. So if you're able to do these three aspects, I think some of a lot of the challenges that we face today can be overcome.
Sure, sure. And any best practices that industry trends, or any advice that you would like to suggest for the fellow technology leaders who are watching our interview for their successful professional journey?
I would not be the person who would give advice to someone because I strongly believe that each technology leader would have their own journey, right? If there is no set path, there is no defined role or no success mantra here for anyone. As it's a lot of aspects of learning, understanding the technology, business benefits. Each person would have, his or her own way of doing things. But what I would recommend or suggest is a few guiding principles in terms of how technologies would help. Maybe four elements I would talk about here. First one is ethical use of technology, extremely relevant in the current age. We talk about data privacy, data security, how ensure that if you're talking about AI algorithms and all that, how they are extremely useful to the community rather than trying to impact it. So I think this is the time where ethical use is the most important element that I feel from a technology perspective. The second principle that I typically talk about is how you ensure your team is diverse and inclusivity. Very, very critical because we are talking about technologies and organizations which are diverse, spread across multiple countries. So, gender diversity, country wise or racial diversity, ensure that the team consists of all sets of people because in the market, when you go out, you have to address all set of consumers there.
Right.
So, diversity and inclusivity extremely key. Third element I would talk about is sustainability aspect, right? So, I think the previous decades this was a little bit neglected, but a lot of times, I think at this point in time, the sustainability or more than the advantage the technology brings, we should look at is it harming our planet, right? Because none of things is going to survive if we are killing our own planet. So sustainability aspect is extremely crucial. Ensure that when you are choosing a technology, when you're trying to build, that aspect is taken care of. And the
Right.
fourth and important, more from a personal leadership perspective, is how you identify a mentor and do a lot of networking because we all look forward to mentors. We all need at certain times very hard decisions. So a mentor is always helpful. Find out a good mentor for yourself, and then keep talking to people in your own peer group. So say technology leaders are typically a typical tribe, right? You exchange knowledge, you do the what's working for you, what's working for them, learn from each other. I think
Correct.
these four principles I think will ensure that the journey of the technology leaders is going to be smooth.
Fantastic. I think great conversation with you, Funny, and good to learn from your perspectives and some of the very interesting points that you mentioned in terms of challenges, how to keep up with the industry trends. So great insights, and thank you so much for taking our time. I'm just going to give one last question. If you would like to add anything that you think would have been missed in our conversation, and which would be a lot of importance to the viewers.
First of all, thank you so much, Pooja. It was pretty engaging conversation, right? Some pretty relevant questions to the current scenario. See, one aspect that I did not cover earlier in my responses was about how important for a technology leader is the backing of the management. Right?
Yeah,
If I'm a technology leader, I need to have that confidence of the management of the founders in me. A
right,
great example is, my current organization, Inspira Enterprise. So we are a trailblazer in the cybersecurity, data analytics, and AI space, right? We strongly believe that some of these niche technologies that we have need not be as scary the way it looks for the business user, right? So
right.
we have a way in which this all things can be this complexity can be abstracted and then given great value to the customers. A great typical analogy I always use is how we use a car, right? there's a lot of engineering under the hood. There is a lot of thermodynamics process going beneath the car. What I don't care about that. All I need is a few controls to maneuver the car and a good dashboard to just tell me what's going on. So that's the kind of thought process our organization has. I have in terms of trying to demystify the entire technology away from the users and give them the business benefits. Right. That's where the alignment of your thought versus the management thought. And a great example of that is how Inspira as a company has invested in what we call as cyber fusion centers. That across the globe, we have these cyber fusion centers which help our customers do the cybersecurity services effectively. And the reason this narrative, right, this entire demystifying technology, making it easier and cheaper, is what has helped us gain a huge amount of traction in India and global markets. Right. So one very extremely critical one, you might have a great ideas, you might have great execution team, but without the backing of your management, your organization, I don't think leaders could do much. So successful IT leader needs that confidence that from the management in terms of executing their skills.
Great. Like I said, thank you so much. Very good insights, Phani. And I'm looking forward to having many more interaction with you. There are so many technologies, which needs to be spoken about in terms of challenges and what are the kind of best practices, etc. So I look forward to having many more discussions with you.
Absolutely, Sunny. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I look forward to it. I appreciate this opportunity, Khushbu.
Thank you.